for being here on such a warm, beautiful day, and such a great day for public transit, for green jobs, and for community building in this region. I will now turn things over to the Prime Minister's press officer for questions from the media.
Thank you, Minister Fleming. As a reminder to everybody on the phone line, please press star 1 to enter the queue. You are limited to one question and one follow-up only. First question today is from Ian Bailey, Globe and Mail.
Prime Minister, thanks for taking the question. Your former Justice Minister, Jody Wilson-Raybould, whom you were involved in recruited into electing politics, has ruled out a re-election bid. You can't hear me? Let me try again. Jody Wilson-Raybould ruled out a re-election bid this week. She said Parliament is quote-unquote toxic and ineffective, that individuals from certain backgrounds are marginalized, and that one of the challenges facing democracy is the power of the Prime Minister and the centralization of power in the hands of those who are unelected. I'm wondering if you have any concerns, any sort of comments on her concerns about Parliament in general. Do you have any comment on her concerns about Prime Ministerial power?
I want to start by recognizing the contributions that Jody Wilson-Raybould made to our government, particularly in the early years. We legalized cannabis. We moved forward on a regime of medical assistance in dying that recognized Canadians' rights, and we worked together on a broad range of important projects. I wish her the very best in her next endeavours, and I recognize that politics can be extremely difficult and indeed toxic sometimes. But I also believe that it takes good people to continue to step up both in and outside of politics to make a difference, and I look forward to seeing what so many people who believe in the same kinds of things are going to be able to accomplish together in the coming years.
You have a follow-up, Ian?
What about her? Yeah, I do. What about her concerns, quote-unquote, about the power of the Prime Minister?
I think it is extremely important that we established government by cabinet once again. We have an extraordinary team of cabinet ministers, many of whom are here today, who've demonstrated time and time again their commitment to moving forward on strong progressive ideals, whether it was Ahmed Hussein and Chrystia Freeland working together with the government of British Columbia to make sure we announced $10 a day childcare that is going to be a reality in the coming years, whether it's the work that Catherine McKenna and others have done on getting this tremendous announcement today. We have an amazing team of strong, diverse leaders in our government and in our cabinet that continue to deliver for Canadians the strong progressive vision that we know Canadians deserve.
Next question is from Richard Zussman, Global News.
Prime Minister, your government announced earlier today that they would be stopping trains going in parts of British Columbia, including through the Lytton area, for 48 hours. Is this an acknowledgement that trains should not have been traveling during such significant heat? And will your government commit to doing reviews into train travel during wildfire season or heat wave, considering we have seen trains start fires not just in other places in Canada, but other places around the world?
I think it's extremely important to always start by recognizing the tremendous hardships gone through by the community of Lytton, by the First Nations communities around. It is absolutely unimaginable, the loss that they have gone through and the difficulties and the challenges that they're facing. I have had a number of conversations with Premier Horgan about the tremendous partnership that is in place between the federal and the provincial government, with the provincial government, of course, leading with its extraordinary fire management abilities, but also how important it is to sit down and engage with Indigenous leadership and community leaders to make sure that everyone is included and partners in this. And that's exactly why we're moving forward on bringing Indigenous leaders around the table so that on the support for families right now, the rebuilding over the coming months, and the long-term relationships that recognize that we're going to continue to face challenges around extreme weather events that we all need to be working closely on. The work that we're going to be doing today and tomorrow to bring everyone together, to give opportunities for people to heal, to begin healing, and to move forward. These are the things that we're focused on working together.
Follow-up, Richard?
I'd like to ask about the announcement around UBC SkyTrain extension, both for the Prime Minister and Premier Horgan. I know this money's for planning, but is this an acknowledgement that this is a project that will be built if a Liberal government is re-elected? And to the Premier on that regard, will the province come forward with the money needed? And along those lines, the Prime Minister, won't acknowledge this as an election tour, but it seems very much like one. Premier, for BC NDP voters in Metro Vancouver who may be thinking about who they're going to vote for, who would you encourage they vote for in the federal election?
I think the reality is we are here to announce today something with tremendous partners that we have been working on together for many, many years. It is exciting that we're putting shovels in the ground next Tuesday, and I can tell you that in the eagerness that the local mayors have shown for it, reflections about some perhaps potential maybe federal election were not top of mind. It is about getting things done for Surrey, getting things done for people in Langley City and in Langley. This is the focus that we've had as a government and why we're so delighted to work with partners partners on it. In terms of transit, as a federal government, we put forward an approach that was there to be a partner with the local experts, and that's what we've done. We have been there to be a partner with the province on its priorities, and we've been there to work with municipalities on their priorities. It is not up to the federal government to draw lines on a map within the Lower Mainland. It is up to us to trust those people who know what their communities need, to, yes, be informed by our extraordinary MPs as partners, but to be there for the expertise and the decisions they've had. And we will continue to do that, including with recently announced permanent public transit funding from the federal government. We are committed to giving that partnership and that clarity so cities and the province can plan not just for the coming year or the coming couple of years, but the coming decades and the coming generations, because that's the future we've got to be thoughtful about and why I'm so excited about it.
So with respect to the Surrey-Langley SkyTrain announcement, it's been almost 30 years since $1 has been invested in rails here in the fastest growing part of not just British Columbia, but of Canada. So the timing of the announcement is it's not soon enough, as the mayors have made it abundantly clear. We've been able to collaborate, working with the leadership of John Cote and the Metro Board to have a phased plan for developing transit going forward. We are already underway. Minister Fleming is spearheading with Minister Heyman the expansion of the Millennium Line out to Arbutus, and we will be matching the dollars that are on the table from the federal government to continue and conclude the line all the way out to UBC. These are critical investments. They need to be phased in. That's why we take our direction, as the Prime Minister said, from local governments, the people who have to shape that growth, not chase that growth. We've been going after trying to catch up with the development and expansion in the Fraser Valley for far too long. Now we can get ahead of it and start building the communities that people want to live in.
Next question is from Greg Rasmussen, CBC.
Question for the Prime Minister. An historic day this week with the election of Roseanne Archibald as the National Chief of the Assembly of First Nations. I'm just wondering, do you think this will have an impact on your government's relationship with Indigenous people in Canada? And do you have any particular message for her?
Chief Archibald, her leadership is going to be tremendous over the coming years. I also want to recognize the tremendous leadership and strength of outgoing National Chief Perry Bellegarde, who has been a true friend to Canada in his commitment to advancing reconciliation and supporting Indigenous peoples and First Nations people right across the country. I look forward to working with Chief Archibald on the issues that matter so deeply, not just to Indigenous Canadians and First Nations people, but indeed all Canadians. The challenge of reconciliation is one that we all need to step up on, whether it's orders of government or individual Canadians, business leaders, community leaders, and I know Chief Archibald is going to be a strong partner, not just for First Nations, but for all Canadians as we move forward on fixing the broken relationships, closing the gaps, and building a brighter future for everyone.
Greg, do you have a follow-up?
As a follow-up, she takes office amidst allegations of bullying and harassment. Will you be willing to meet with her while those allegations remain unresolved?
I look forward to meeting the chief as soon as possible. She has been, she is going to be an important partner for Canada as we move forward.
That's all the time we have today. Thank you, everybody.
Merci tout le monde.